Another setback in Provo on BYUSN. What are the consequences for BYU basketball after a disappointing loss last night?
And Super Bowl champion Matt Bushman is in studio.
Welcome to BYU Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. It is Friday, February 17th. I am Spencer Linton alongside Jarom Jordan. We are here to talk you through a very, very tough show. We've been experiencing group therapy all too often. So, Jarom, let's turn the page to something positive on today's show.
Let's just start baseball season with your jersey there.
Let's go. It's starting today.
It's opening day. Let's go. On today's show, Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark on the Big 12 versus Pac-12, what he told a podcast. Matt Bushman on breaking his collarbone in September to rejoining the team in December for the playoff run and then winning a Super Bowl. Incredible. Lauren Gustin is on a very short list after she toppled a couple of things last night at Santa Clara in a win. And our BYU All-Stars. But first, today's headlines.
BYU men's basketball loses at home to Santa Clara 81-74. The Cougars trailed by as many as 20 in the second half. They were down 17 at halftime, allowed the Broncos to shoot 54% from the three-point line. This is the first loss for BYU at home to Santa Clara dating back to 1972. The Cougars have lost 3 in a row. They're in 7th place in the West Coast Conference.
We're talking about 50 years. Kresmir Ćosić, why did you lose to Santa Clara? That's a question I have. They also beat Santa Clara. They split. Women's hoops rallied with a 33-point fourth quarter to beat Santa Clara 78-72, thanks to a career-high tying 30 points and 16 rebounds by Lauren Gustin, who's now one of 2 players in program history with Tina Gunn Robinson to have 1,000 points and rebounds. Also, Gustin tied with their mom, Scarlett Overly, for 31st in scoring in BYU history, and now a mere rebound away from the West Coast Conference single-season record. Big game for the Cougars coming up on Saturday as well.
Needless to say, an all-time season for Lauren Gustin.
Unbelievable. She's great.
Women's sports flexing on multiple fronts, including BYU softball beating 22nd-ranked Arizona State 10-5 at the Littlewood Classic in Tempe, Arizona. Big win. The Cougars now 3-2, doubleheader today. They will take on Portland State at 2 Eastern and then face Oregon State at 4:30 Eastern.
Baseball opens the season tonight with a 4-game series at Louisiana Tech. Shout out to Gary Croton, Bronco Mendenhall from the year 2003 or something when they were there. At 7 Eastern on the BYU radio app. Shep is in the Bayou State. It's the first ever meeting between the 2 schools.
8th-ranked BYU men's volleyball, 8-2 on the season. Huge test tonight. They'll take on UCLA, 2nd-ranked team in the country in the MPSF conference opener. Tonight's game, 10 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow at 8 Eastern. Good luck to the Cougars against the Bruins.
It's a federation, so it's the Federation. And it sounds like Star Trek to me. Every time I'm like, what is this, Star Trek?
Federation Championship.
The Federation. Men's golf leads at the John Burns Invitational thanks to Keanu Aquina shooting a 9-under opening round for 3rd place. David Timmons 1 shot behind at 8-under for 4th place. Good luck to the boys, round 3.
BYU Gymnastics still on their push to secure a regional spot. They'll take on Boise State tonight in the Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference dual meet, 9 Eastern, streaming live on the Mountain West Sports Network.
And Ashley Hatch subbed in the 61st minute for the USA Women's National Soccer Team in a 2-0 win over Canada in the She Believes Cup. They face Japan on Sunday.
BYU track and field competing in the 2023 MPSF Indoor Track and Field Championships in Spokane, Washington. It begins today, 1 p.m. Eastern, so right as we get off the air, and continues tomorrow also with a start time of 1 p.m. Eastern.
And for a 3rd MPSF mention, it's day 3 of the MPSF Championships for swim and dive. BYU will join what's called the Big 12 next season in everything but men's volleyball.
What is this Big 12 you speak of, Jarom?
So there's not 12 teams, but it's real big, meaning the check that BYU gets in TV money.
Is it a federation, though?
It's not a federation.
Oh, rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
3 ball on high. Yes! Come on. That's team offense.
There's only one answer, and that is just how you respond. And I expect that they'll come with an incredible fight and have an absolutely terrific performance on Saturday.
BYU just trying to clear a bar and snap a 3-game losing streak to not finish in the Thursday scenario of the West Coast Conference Tournament, meaning 7th through 10th place. Right now, BYU 6-8. What's amazing, Jarom, is
I'm just seeing how long I can stare at the camera.
the 4th place team in conference is LMU.
Yeah.
They're 7-7.
Mm-hmm.
The 4th place team has 7 losses. BYU has 8.
It's been a bloodbath 3 through.
Oh my goodness.
7, 8 right there. Yeah.
Well, now BYU is in serious trouble and are likely headed for a Thursday game for the first time ever in the West Coast Conference postseason tournament.
We hope not.
And if it stings extra because this is the last time BYU will play in the WCC before they make the jump to the Big 12.
I thought we were going to the MPSF.
This is not an ideal scenario.
Why did we mention the MPSF
as
so much?
BYU jumps to a Power 5 league and the best basketball league in America.
Yeah.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the consequences. What are the consequences of BYU's loss last night at home to Santa Clara?
So 6 seed or 7 seed feels like a possibility. BYU had a chance at like as high as 3 or 4 if they had won out.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could play on Thursday for the first time. 7 through 10 seeds jump in there. We'll be there regardless. So whenever BYU plays, we'll be at the tournament covering games
until at least Tuesday.
I'm concerned BYU might not make the NIT now. That's kind of been the end game for BYU this season, is at least make the NIT. I am concerned about that because you just lost at home to Santa Clara. If you lose in Moraga, you have to beat San Francisco and probably win 2 games in Vegas just to get to 19, and even then I'm not sure that's enough. If BYU gets to 20, it feels like, hey, you got a real solid chance at getting into the NIT. And then there is real concern for me that there's a possibility BYU goes 500 and doesn't make the NIT. Let's walk through it. At Moraga, San Francisco at home, you go to Vegas, you lose that first game, you are 500, and you don't make the NIT. That would certainly be a disappointing season. Last night, BYU didn't make enough threes, missed a bunch of free throws. It was tough. And yes, it's a 7-point game in the end, but this game was lost in the first half. BYU.
You're down 17 at halftime.
Yeah, BYU refused to walk through that door. Santa Clara was begging BYU to come back in this game. BYU didn't hit another, they'd get it down to 10. They wouldn't hit that 3 to get it to 7 and induce a timeout from Santa Clara, right?
Yeah.
So there's some real concern, Spence, that this season is what we were hoping it wouldn't be, which is a non-NIT kind of season. This team's shown us some real nice stuff, but consistently haven't been as good as we were hoping. Now, they have been at home. Last night was a real anomaly. BYU was 11-3, beating teams by 10 points at home. And then they're just getting destroyed. I am concerned there are a few cracks in the dam that Flexio won't cover up. Not getting paid by them, but I could be. That are going to be tough to seal up the next couple of weeks because we're at the very end here. You're supposed to be, like you said on the postgame, I'm concerned this is happening on February 16th.
It's late.
That's
in the season.
concern.
It's late.
That's a maybe December or January thing. It's February. You got to be playing good ball now.
Yeah, I wonder what BYU can do emotionally at this point. You only have so much left in the tank.
Tried to summon, right?
And to their credit, after tough losses, they have typically showed up and played hard. And you don't have to go back that far to see the most recent example. BYU lost just a terrible game against last place Pepperdine. And we all thought, oh, man, what team's
going to get smashed in Spokane?
Are they going to lose by 40?
They played really well in Spokane.
They're up with 4 minutes to go in the game in Spokane. Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay. This team does have some grit.
Yeah.
Do they have enough to respond again? I worry that there are just too many cracks in their emotional tank. I feel like they have the skills to compete with anybody and beat anybody in the league.
And maybe that's what's disappointing, is that they're not.
But they have also shown us that they can lose to anybody in the league as well. And that is a very difficult line to walk. So what team's going to show up in Moraga? I think we'll learn, what BYU actually does have left when we see how they perform against St. Mary's. As far as consequences go, BYU is likely going to finish with a losing record in conference for the first time ever in West Coast Conference play. They're probably going to finish 7-9.
They can't have a winning record.
No, there's no way to have a win. The best they can do is 500 in league.
Yeah, that's tough.
And that would require winning in Moraga and then beating a San Francisco team that's a bad matchup for BYU on the guard line. So 7-9 feels like BYU's realistic best option for West Coast Conference play right now, which is probably a 6th place finish, maybe 7th place. I hope for their sake they get a bye into at least Friday. But, Jarom, a Thursday game is a real possibility, and a losing record in West Coast Conference play is the most likely outcome.
Yeah, this stinks, man. It stinks. Come on. Go and compete against St. Mary's. Just pull off and up. Topic 2. Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark joined John Canzano and John Wilner on the Canzano and Wilner podcast this week, gave some insight into a couple of topics. First, Yormark was asked about the decision for the Big 12 to open media rights, get a deal done early, why they did this, and did it cost them money?
As you're reading now, the media landscape's changing. The big media companies are really more focused on what they need versus what they want. I think we're reading about that every day. It's a changing landscape. And not that I had any foresight into it, but obviously with our partners Endeavor, we strategized and we looked at the landscape. We looked at who was going to be in the market at the same time. I mean, when I was in Phoenix, everyone was there talking to the media partners. I mean, think about UFC being out there right now, the NBA, CFP, WWE. It's a crowded space right now. And by going early, I was able to gain the attention of arguably 2 of the biggest media brands in the world. And they saw our vision. They realized where we were going. They liked it, and they doubled down on us. So for all the right reasons, we went early. And I think that decision today is looking even better and better.
Indeed it is, Spence.
How can you argue with that?
Because what the Pac-12 is trying to do right now is not they don't have a ton of leverage in the
What leverage do they have?
And I almost wonder if ESPN and Fox were kind of like, we're not going to go with both of you. We're probably going to go with one of you. And then, they had talks in the fall, first right of refusal, right? The opening negotiations there. It didn't happen. They didn't get a deal done. Remember, this isn't a deal for right now for the Big 12. This is a deal for 25 when Texas and Oklahoma leave. Brett Yormark has proven that his aggression has led to good things so far, and we'll see what that means in expansion perhaps. It feels like he's waiting for Oregon and Washington to want to leave perhaps, and then as opposed to I go and make a move, but his move is we are open for business, which has been the famous phrase here.
Let's talk. Let's have a discussion about it. And that's the right approach. $31.66 million per school in the new deal, which, by the way, is more money per school than the Big 12 was getting with Texas and Oklahoma in the conference.
And that deal had been done like a long time ago.
Sure, but still, I remember having a conversation with you
and that's
on this
TV
show.
money only.
Sure, I remember having a conversation with you on the show saying, heck, if they get $20 million per school without Texas and Oklahoma, it's a win for BYU.
They got way more.
They got
that was awesome.
31.6. And if you missed it earlier in the week, we learned from Dennis Dodd, who was the first to report it, with NCAA tournament revenue and bowl game revenue and everything else that goes into the conference, they think it will be close to $50 million per school without Texas and Oklahoma in the conference.
Yeah, and that number had been reported a while ago.
Sure. Huge win for Brett Yormark here, because he did have leverage and by going early and used it to get what he wanted. Yeah. So the early play is paying off literally in so many ways for the Big 12. And, I know that we kind of poke fun at the Pac-12, and it's kind of a sad situation. Like, it's tough that it has come to this. And we're learning that streaming services, notably Amazon, is saying, well, we have all the leverage now, so you're going to have to meet our terms, Pac-12, if you want us to stream.
We're paying $1 billion for season 1 of Rings of Power, so...
Like, the Pac-12 is in a really, really tough spot right now.
Yeah.
Man, this is just the new age of college.
Sports reporting, yes, that Amazon playing hardball with Pac-12 because
they can.
They can.
Because the Pac-12 has little to no leverage. How about this? Brett Yormark was asked if the Big 12 was targeting Pac-12 schools because the Conference of Champions is in such a tough spot.
These are Pac-12 reporters, by the way.
Yeah. This is what he said.
I'm not targeting anyone specifically. I said, and I've been saying it, I've been pretty transparent and intentional, that we'd like that 4th time zone to create more value for our media partners. We're entering a 3rd time zone obviously, with our expansion that becomes official in July with, the 4 great new schools coming into our conference. But would I like to be a national conference in all the different time zones and from a geography standpoint, have our Big 12 flag all over the country? 100%. And we'll see where it ends up. Obviously, it's a fluid process. There's a lot at stake out there. And, we'll see where we end up. But it is certainly something I think about daily. And it's been part of my vision since I've been here. And I've been very public about it.
Again, open for business. He's not targeting any schools per se, but he certainly is saying, if you are interested in joining our conference and things get bad enough for you, yeah, we clearly want to be in that Pacific time zone and have something that no other conference in America has, and that is games in every single time zone across the continental.
Like a better version of the 16-team WAC.
Yeah,
right?
way better version.
Where it was like, no, there are actually some power players in this. And TCU really sort of softened that up quite a bit last year, because it's like, we didn't need Texas and Oklahoma to be the team in the playoff. We had somebody else, like one of the other wave of expansion candidates from 2012, right?
Sure.
In TCU.
Frankly, Baylor and Oklahoma State the year before that were better than Texas and Oklahoma.
Both were in the New Year's Six the year before. Yeah, and obviously Texas and Oklahoma you take them for a year, and you pocket the $100 million after that. BYU maybe will get a little bit of that. I imagine the original other 8 get most of that, right? But it's important for your Mark to sit there, because it's like, okay, Oregon and Washington, if the Big Ten don't want you, clearly that's where they probably would want to go, you think, is we're right here. Hi.
$31.6 million a year.
And is it SEC Big Ten money? No, it's not. But are we all, everybody, the other 3 competing for third place here? Yeah. The Pac-12 isn't competing for third place. They're competing to exist as currently constituted. And we'll see what that looks like. Who would be the Pacific time zone team you'd pick up, or teams? Some people talking about the 4 corners. I know Jeff Hansen, not a fan of that particular nickname. But Arizona State are they are Pacific 6 months out of the year. Sure. I don't know if they count like we've joked. We'll see what that looks like. But the Mountain Time Zone is the BYU edition there, which is kind of exciting. BYU has put this league into that space. And, of course, UCF and Cincinnati added to West Virginia being in the Eastern time zone. So now you have 3 schools over there.
Now you have a Big 12 Saturday scenario.
Yes.
Where you
boom.
You have a noon Eastern, a 3:30 Eastern,
a 7 and a 10:30.
And a 10:30 Eastern. You have Big 12 football
and
all
we are
day.
Probably the 10:30 Eastern until there's a bunch more Pacific.
Unless BYU's playing somewhere in the Central or Eastern time zone and they're in an earlier game on the road, great. But if it's a home game, BYU's probably the late game. Big 12 after dark.
Are we going to move to speaking in Central Time on this station? Because we are not. But it's a thought I have.
Our question of the day.
Y'all?
Has nothing to do with what we just discussed between the Big 12 and Pac-12. It has more to do with the All-Star Weekend for the NBA that is in the state of Utah.
Yeah.
Hosted by the Utah Jazz, who are owned by BYU alumnus Ryan Smith. So with that in mind, who would you pick to be in your all-time BYU basketball 3-point competition and dunk contest? Some fun names are being brought up. I thought I remembered everyone and kind of pondered everything that would have made sense. No, you've opened my eyes here in some of these responses. Eric Seat on Twitter says, I'll take Cosmo on my dunk team and Chase Fisher on my 3-point squad.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. I like that.
You can take as many as you want. Send in your teams for the dunk contest and the 3-point competition using the hashtag BYUSN on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Okay, if you miss any of our BYU TV interviews, BYUSN episodes, other shows, games, D-Blues, you can go to BYUSN.com or download the free BYU TV app to get all of those on demand.
We have a Super Bowl champion in studio next. Matt Bushman, straight out of Kansas City after the parade, joins us. This is BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Food to Go's convenient location at 2191 North Canyon Road in Provo makes bringing popular BYU foods to your next event easy. Everything's ready when you need it at the drive and load pickup. You drive in and they load no matter the weather. And stop in the on-site creamery for great BYU chocolate milk and ice cream. BYU Food to Go, bringing campus to your table. Call for details, 801-422-5001.
Today was a great day.
You're going to feel the energy of all these volunteers.
I'm excited to get out into the world and see who else is making good.
And you're going to meet some of the most amazing people.
And we will all just lift each other up.
What we do is we create memories for families.
And you realize just how good people are.
It does take a village.
It's definitely been a journey.
We are live in Studio B with your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Spencer Linton alongside Jarom Jordan. Our first guest of the day probably has more Super Bowl rings than you and me and Jarom.
Unless Steve Young's watching.
And all of us combined. He is Matt Bushman of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Hey.
Welcome to Studio B, Matt. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Hey, wild ride for you.
Oh, my gosh.
We learned a little bit more about it from your father-in-law, Chad Lewis, as he talked about your rejoining of the Kansas City Chiefs and what that meant for you and your wife, Emily, and now all of a sudden you have a Super Bowl ring as a member of the practice squad. What's the last month and a half been like for you?
Yeah, it's been wild. I mean, when I was on the injury settlement back here in Utah, my agents were like, shoot, I don't know if the Chiefs are going to sign you back. It's not very common to get signed back this late in the year. So I was like, man, if they win the Super Bowl, I'm going to be sick. But luckily, things just kind of escalated. They called me one day and said, hey, we have a flight for you to come back to Kansas City, and hopped on the flight and joined the team. So I'm super grateful I could rejoin and have a job again and win a Super Bowl.
So it would have been enough just to be back on the Chiefs, right? But obviously the Chiefs are awesome. Andy's awesome, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, everybody's awesome. So you guys end up going through this playoff run. Meanwhile, you're kind of on standby, right? Like if there's an injury or something, like you could dress and be available. So you got to stay in shape, you got to know the plays and so on. What was that process like of being ready just in case?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, since I did training camp, you go through every play, every scenario. So I had known the playbook. So when I got back, the coaches knew that I had that experience. So yeah, I was one of the guys that was, shoot, if something happens, you have to be ready. Travis, 2 days before the AFC Championship, had a little scare where he had a little back injury. So I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to happen? But he was going to play no matter what. We all kind of knew that. But yeah, you just kind of have to have a mindset like, I can't coast through the postseason and just kind of hang out. I have to study the playbook. I have to know the game plan, because if something happens, it can be up to an hour before the game. They can say
it's that late.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
are you like warming up and stretching as if you might play, just in case?
Usually in that situation, you'll kind of have a heads up, like somebody's banged up, be ready. Sometimes you just kind of are in the locker room hanging out. But yeah, if it was something like that, I would have been.
You could expedite that?
Yeah, I'd be working out, trying to stay warm, knowing what was going to happen.
What's the typical relationship like for a practice player with the active roster on game day, and especially through the playoffs and late in the playoffs? Like, where are you? What's your role? How close are you with the team? Walk us through all of that if you don't mind.
I mean, in my point of view, I'd say it's pretty fluid with the active roster and practice squad. We're all in the locker room together, all in meetings. Every meeting, every single day, you're in the room with them. So I would like to think that I'm still part of the almost equal to the active roster.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have good relationships with all those guys, because yeah, you're battling with them, going to practice with them, trying to give them a good look. So I was trying to be Dallas Goedert, try and get the defense prepared, have them ready for whatever could happen come game day. And yeah, so I would say the biggest thing is just the pay scale. Other than that, you're doing pretty much everything.
What was Super Bowl game day like for you? Where are you? What are you doing?
I went to a little sacrament meeting Sunday morning with some of the BYU guys. We had some family members that were all in town, so that was cool. And then you just have a little bit of time off. You bus over to the stadium super early, so I was just like, I'm going to get there on the early bus, kind of soak in the whole atmosphere. So I was just sitting on one of the benches, throwing a ball around, just enjoying it. And then when the game actually started, we were just on the sideline trying to bring positive energy and get the guys, show the guys some support while they were playing.
There's no other school in the country that would have had what you just said, which is the sacrament meeting in the morning.
Yeah, it's
That's
true.
That's pretty cool, man.
It's pretty unique.
Yeah.
There's always like the night before, like a Catholic mass or a pastor that will come speak to us. But yeah, definitely.
Like a non-denominational kind of Christian thing?
Yeah, like the team chaplain or something like that. But very unique to have BYU, so a good amount of BYU guys there to have a little sacrament meeting.
Like Zane, of course, and Andy are BYU connected. Is there someone else? Porter Ellett, maybe?
Porter Ellett was there, and Alex Whittingham.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle Whittingham's son.
Gotcha. What does he do with?
He has a similar role as Porter.
Gotcha.
He's like a assistant coach type thing.
Very cool.
Matt Bushman is with us on BYU Sports Nation. We're talking Super Bowl conversation and Super Bowl Sunday. When the game is happening, where are you? Are you in a seat? Are you on the sideline? Walk us through what you're seeing during the actual game.
I'm just walking back and forth on the sideline, trying to get a good view. Try to hear the play when the offense is on the field. So stand next to the quarterbacks or the tight ends coach or some of the backup quarterbacks that have the little earpiece to hear the play. And yeah, just try to rally the forces when things are going well or not so well.
Sure. Remind me, did you play a game in that stadium? Because I'm thinking about your BYU timeline. I know the Cougars played in that stadium, but you might have been on your mission.
I was on my mission at that time.
Because 2018 was actually in Tucson, hometown for you, which is cool. But not 2016, Kalani's first game. You were on your mission.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was...
missed that stadium, I guess. Right?
Missed that stadium.
Did you ever play in it growing up?
I
never... Did I score anything?
We never made it to the state championship, so I never played in it.
It's going to be all right. You just won a Super Bowl.
Maybe one day.
At halftime, are you in the locker room the whole time, or do you get to watch the Rihanna halftime show?
No, couldn't watch the Rihanna halftime show. A lot of guys were like, we're not playing, let's go watch. But
it's so long, right?
Yeah,
like you're in there for like half an hour.
Yeah, but Coach Reed, maybe some of you guys saw what Mahomes was saying, but Coach Reed was like, if any of you guys are watching the halftime show, just keep on walking because you're not coming back here.
He wasn't about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a lot more focused on actually winning instead of
and
enjoying.
At the time, there's some real concern there. And kind of walk us through the vibe on the sideline in the locker room of, hey, gosh, we gotta do something different. And certainly the Chiefs did in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone saw the Eagles were playing so well in the first half, and they were keeping our offense off the field. So we couldn't really work our magic and do a lot of things. So yeah, it was a little tense going into halftime, but our leaders spoke up. Pat Mahomes, Travis, they were all saying that we need to lock it in and play a lot better. So yeah, that happened second half, and they were definitely the leaders that did that.
Did you lift the Lombardi Trophy at any point?
I did, yeah. In the locker room, got to hold it on the airplane back to Kansas City. Got to take a couple pictures. So yeah, that was surreal and then just awesome to actually be able to hold that trophy.
How heavy is it?
Not as heavy as you would think, like something that big and solid, but it's still dense and it's got its power with it.
Travis Kelce is one of the best tight ends ever. He might be the best ever. You know, there's some who think that. What's he like? Because he seems like he's a super fun dude, but also obviously super competitive.
Yeah, he's kind of that. He's a great mentor to all of us younger guys. He doesn't show like, oh, you're trying to take my spot. Like he's established a spot and it's never gonna get taken. So he's super cool in teaching all of the ins and outs of what he's thinking. He's definitely like the class clown where his tight ends coach has been with Coach Reed for like 20 years, but Travis has been with them for 10 years. So it's like you can only give him so many coaching points, and when he's the best tight end of the league, it's like, so in meetings, he's just the jokester, kind of making fun of himself if he messes up, or, yeah, he doesn't get many coaching points. It's mainly directed to us younger guys that are trying to be at his level. So it's definitely funny having him in meetings where he's just no stress, making fun of everything. It's funny.
Super Bowl champion Matt Bushman is on BYU Sports Nation. Where do you sit on the depth chart right now with the Chiefs, and how do you see your role evolving into the next season?
Yeah, so I signed a futures deal. We had a little exit interviews, physicals on Tuesday, and then they gave me the futures deal. So that just signs my rights to the Chiefs in the offseason for OTAs and training camp. So the depth chart's always fluid at this time and can change. So we'll see how I'm looking during OTAs, and if they draft anyone or if they re-sign everyone, all that can change, and it's unknown at this time. So I'll just prepare and, try to be a guy next year.
Because it was crazy because you had this, maybe the craziest day of your life where you score 2 touchdowns and then you break your collarbone in such a way that you're out for a long time, like 12 weeks we were talking before the interview. That was wild. And then you get back, they sign you, which isn't common like you talked about, and then the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. What was the range of emotions you had this season with the Chiefs?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, training camp and the preseason games are probably the hardest part of the season just because you're practicing every day. And it's stressful. People are getting cut left and right. You don't know what's going to happen. So to be able to finish the preseason, I had a banged up knee at the time too, and I was kind of fighting through that injury. So to be able to finish the preseason like that and to get some opportunities, some balls thrown my way and to score, I was just loving it. Like, man, this is going to be awesome. I was just like, Heavenly Father, whatever happens, let it happen. Like, I don't know. At that point, my NFL career is pretty unknown. So it's just like, I'm going to trust your plan, and maybe I'll be in the league. Maybe I'll be out. So to score those touchdowns, it's pretty valuable to have the other teams be able to see that you can score in the NFL or, catch the ball. It's kind of silly, but that adds a lot of weight going into the actual season. So yeah, I was like, okay, if I'm not with this team, maybe another team will scoop me up. And then got hurt, and then that kind of all just, they see how long of a injury settlement, 12 weeks, that's most of the season. No team really knows if they want to sign you back, especially to the active roster, for being out that long. So yeah, then you're just like, man, am I even going to be in the NFL for the rest of this season, or if they're going to sign me back? I did a little tryout a few days before signing back with the Chiefs, did a tryout for the Browns, just flew out there in less than 24 hours. Did good, but they didn't sign me. And then that was on a Friday, then that next Monday, the Chiefs called, so.
What a wild ride.
Yeah, it's a lot of.
You still love me.
Yeah, I'm like, thank you. Yeah, I don't want to be in Cleveland for the postseason because they weren't projected to make the playoffs. So I was like, man, it'd be sweet to go to a playoff team.
Oh, if you're hitching your wagon to any team, it would have been Kansas City, for sure.
Yeah.
Given the experience, given the success.
For sure.
Given Andy, given Zane, given all these guys.
So just knowing that they were going to have a deep playoff run, I was like, man, I'd love to go sign back there.
Does the practice squad get the playoff bonus too?
You just get the practice squad check. So unfortunately,
next year,
next year, you just get the experience.
Just get some photos with the trophy.
Yep.
Which is pretty good. It's pretty awesome.
What was the experience like with your family on the field after the game in the peak of the celebrations in Arizona?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, they only gave the practice squad guys one field pass, so Emily was there with me. Yeah, it was just so cool to see how happy everyone was, especially the guys that had been playing 10 plus years, never had a ring. Like, that's the peak moment for them. So it was super awesome to be able to celebrate with Emily, knowing that we've had those unknowns going on throughout the year, and just to celebrate the biggest win in football, to be world champs. It was awesome. And then to also have my family, they were able to go down to the front row and take pictures with them and celebrate with them too. It was a lot of fun.
What a fun dinner conversation with Chad now you can have, right?
Yeah.
And interesting experiences in that he gets hurt and doesn't get to play in the Super Bowl. You're on the practice squad, you're right there, not playing, but you have an experience where, yes, we're on teams that are in the Super Bowl.
Definitely.
And fortunately you win one, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I just need to actually play and get a ring.
That's the next step, right? That's pretty cool.
Have some bragging rights with him.
But 2 months ago, or whatever, when did you sign? Was it 2 or 3 months ago?
It was right before, mid-December probably.
Okay. 2 months ago, you're not thinking, yeah, I'm going to be winning a Super Bowl here.
Yeah.
Just a crazy turn of events here.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, you had a superlative, incredible BYU career, and you were a polished player, but everybody talks about going to the NFL and going to the next level in skill set. So how are you a different player and a better player now than you were when you left BYU, which was a good level football player?
Yeah, I'd say I actually play special teams. Like in college, there's sometimes I should have done it more in college just to gain the experience. Sometimes the coaches want some of the starting college players not to do special teams. Just, I don't know, some coaches don't want you to play, some do. So I wish I would have had more of that experience going into the NFL, because that's pretty much all. The number 3, number 4 tight end, that's like pretty much all you're doing is mainly special teams reps. So that was different. Just becoming a better blocker, football IQ, like Travis, his football IQ, being a quarterback, being with Coach Reed for 10 years, he's not just worrying about his job, he's worrying about everyone around him. If he knows he's not the first read, he'll get in front of a guy, slow down his release, and get other guys open while he's still getting wide open. So yeah, just learning those different things so the game slows down for you. And I'm just trying to do that more and more to be an option.
I don't know when the Chiefs' bye week is next season, and I'm just projecting you're going to make the roster because we send good vibes here.
That's what we feel. We feel this, yeah.
And there will be a Thursday night game, which opens up a Saturday as well. So I think there will be 2 opportunities for you to watch BYU in the Big 12, and probably close to home because they'll be playing largely in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So Matt, let's make that happen. Let's get you to a BYU in the Big 12 game.
Let's do it. Even Pat Mahomes was saying if it falls on the bye week when Texas Tech plays in Provo, he's going to fly down here too. So
nice.
We got to hope that happens.
Let's go.
That'd be amazing.
Let's go.
Let's hope that lines up. Well, congratulations on still having some of the best hair in the league, by the way. Appreciate it. So good. It's still great. Good to see it, Matt. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you.
It's pretty cool.
Here.
Okay, BYU basketball plays another big one at number 17 St. Mary's tomorrow night. Make sure you listen to that one with coverage on BYU Radio starting at 9 Eastern time.
Up next, does BYU alumnus and the owner of the Utah Jazz, Ryan Smith, have a better shot than Dwayne Wade? Am I seriously asking this question? There's video evidence, apparently. This is BYU Sports Nation.
Sorry, what?
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
If you're looking to build your brand awareness and increase market share as BYU moves into the Big 12, this is the place, BYU Athletics. We can provide the tools you need to make sure your company is seen and heard. BYU Athletics is where you can align your products and services with loyal fans that cheer for our Cougars. And they can also help your business win. Learn more about what a partnership with BYU Athletics and your company will look like. After all, this is the place. Email sponsorship at byu.edu today.
Those who leave the most meaningful legacy seem to be the ones who never intended to. The same person who loses himself seems to be the same that finds himself. And why? Well, they give the best of who they really are with no thought of return. Find a cause you can put your heart into, my son, in which to lose yourself. I started the Deseret Donor Advised Fund for this reason. Because in the end, my greatest legacy is you.
Hey family, if you're looking for something new to watch, stop scrolling and start streaming. BYU TV has a ton of great options to binge together. From bold adventure to family drama and even a little fun, there's something for everyone. Binge entire series, experience all the feels, immerse in non-stop intrigue, and treat yourself to unexpected turns. Think you know BYU TV? We're just getting started.
Follow BYU Sports Nation on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
He is Jarom. I am Spencer. Let's whip it. Cougar Whiparound presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
Chip this. Lauren Gustin, now the second Cougar to reach 1,000 career points and rebounds, and needs a mere 1 rebound to set the West Coast Conference single-season record. Is she going to be the West Coast Conference Player of the Year?
She should be.
I agree.
Who's had a better year than Lauren Gustin?
That's not a good top-end year in the league. Like, Alex Fowler's awesome, Portland's top 2. But what Lauren's doing is special.
If you take Lauren Gustin off of this BYU women's basketball team, they're an 8th place team in the conference.
The award isn't MVP, it is Player of the Year. So just straight up, like, who's the best player?
She's the best overall player in the conference.
And she's top 5 in points, rebounds, field goals, of course.
The Zags are too balanced, and Alex Fowler hasn't been as good as Gustin. There's nobody better than Lauren Gustin.
There's not big star power. I think Lauren Gustin should and will win it in about a week and a half.
Good for her, man. Yeah. What a season. Oh, by the way, she's a junior. Yeah, she's coming back for one more. Very excited.
That's awesome.
Our next whip question requires the return of Stat of the Day.
It's the BYU Sports Nation Stat of the Day.
I've missed this music. Ryan Smith will be the first BYU alumnus to participate in NBA All-Star Weekend since Danny Ainge did so all the way back in 1988.
Nobody since then? Nobody?
Crazy. I know. It's sad. Really, it's sad.
I'm sad about that. That's a sad stat. Good for Ryan.
But the music makes us feel better, right? Ryan Smith will be competing against Dwayne Wade in tonight's celebrity game, and the two engaged in some Twitter trash talk. Listen up.
This ain't water, this is sweat. All-Star Weekend in Utah is coming. Team Dwayne, I got my team getting ready, so you know I'm in the gym getting ready. Ryan, Team Ryan, y'all ain't got a chance. Be in the gym. Let's go.
We're not sweating this, bro. We're in the gym, too. This place is pretty sweet. Team Ryan's ready, man. We got everyone cooking.
Ryan Smith has a nice-looking shot.
Yeah, no, I've seen it in person. It's good.
Does he have a better shooting stroke than Dwayne Wade?
Listen, love Ryan, love everything Ryan's doing. No. Dwayne Wade is a Hall of Fame. No. Listen, but Ryan still plays pickup sometimes at BYU in the morning. Ryan loves basketball, obviously, loves Brigham too. No, listen, I dare say, though, if you put Ryan, like the primary governor of any NBA team out there, Ryan's probably got the best jumper, right? It's just a bunch of...
I don't know. Mark Cuban's got an amazing... No, I can't. No. Yeah, Ryan's got a really smooth stroke.
Obviously, being younger benefits him.
Dwayne Wade is a better shooter. Ryan Smith's shooting form is right there with Wade's.
Good.
It's really pretty, right?
Money can't buy that.
Pretty shot.
Money can't buy that. You got to work hard.
They're both not on Tyler Haws level, though.
No.
Well, Tyler's got that beautiful stroke.
He does have a beautiful stroke. I'm not questioning Tyler's. It's just Dwayne Wade wins any question in this conversation as pertains to basketball.
Yes. No
Even against Tyler.
Are you sure, Jarom? Are you sure an NBA Hall of Famer, pro basketball legend?
Enough.
Up next, which players make our BYU Cougar All-Star 3-point and dunk teams? Who are we rolling out there for a fun competition?
I wonder if Jimmer will make it.
This is BYU Sports Nation. Yoli on that list?
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
They prefer to be bringing the heat, getting set for success, demonstrating their drive. But when their blood and sweat turns to tears or anything else, we lay the groundwork for BYU's athletes to hit the ground running again, and you as well. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork offers a large inventory of Ford vehicles, including a selection of cars and trucks, providing a range of transportation choices. From the Ford Fusion sedan and the Edge crossover SUV to a range of pickups including the F-150. Each product line comes with options to enhance performance, comfort, and safety. Think Ford, think Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork.
My dream is to send a man to the moon. We're going to send up a test subject first, an Air Force chimpanzee.
You're going to train them to be astronauts?
I've got less than 5 weeks to go on this thing, and frankly, I could use all the help I can get.
This is my son. I say what he does and does not do.
I will win this race to space, but I will lose my son.
We have to give him a chance to fulfill his destiny.
I told them it's all in the wrist. They want me to miss, but that's a wish. If I don't take the shot, it's an assist. But either way it go, boy, that's a switch.
Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation. It is All-Star Weekend in Utah, the home of the Utah Jazz. Alongside Jarom Jordan, I am Spencer Linton. Got us thinking today, all right, if we were hosting a three-point competition and a dunk contest
Couldn't we
featured...
do this at BYU?
Well, you could, but you couldn't exactly do it with the personnel that we're about to present because some of them are past their prime. So we've gone all-time.
With the dunk part?
Okay, we've gone, yes.
Not the threes part. They can still
do that.
Yeah.
Gone all-time, like, who would you put in your three-point competition and who would you put in your dunk contest? And we've limited to 3 participants in each of the categories.
This is in the current year, right?
Yes.
Because if the year is 1951, Mel Hutchins is my dunk guy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But, okay, which are we going first, dunk or threes?
Let's go three-point competition.
Okay, three-point.
Do that first.
Three-point, I'm going mostly modern dudes. I know I'm going to hear from some of the elder statesmen here.
All right.
I go, in no particular order, Alex Barcelo, the number 1 three-point percentage.
Best shooter in the country, according to Jay Billis.
Chase Fisher, and then James Taffordette.
See, I went a little off the board here.
Matt Carlino, really?
Well, I shouldn't say off the board. Like, I tried to spread the wealth across multiple generations, and just because
look at you,
the star power. But Danny Ainge is going to be in my three-point competition. Like it's Danny Ainge. Got to throw him in there.
Are we doing? Okay, tell me. You're saying like 1981 version of Danny Ainge in a three-point? What are you saying?
He could show
right
up today.
now.
I don't care. He could show up today. I still think Danny Ainge can shoot.
Can he?
I still think he can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know.
Star power. Jeremy, like, do you tell me, like, if I had Danny Ainge even right now, like, hey, he's going to be in a three-point competition. Let's see how he does.
Is it marketing or
let's see how he does.
Made shots?
Huh? Well, it's what you want it to be. It's whatever I want it to be, right? It's what you want it to be. It's what I want it to be.
Yes, in this mythical world.
So it's Danny Ainge.
I'm going to Frodo Baggins then.
Jimmer Fredette, obviously. Chase Fisher is my guy. Huge personality. And then if there's an alternate, let's say one of the guys can't go. Say Danny's like, I can't do it.
John Moala from the 95-96.
No. Andy Toulson.
Yeah, Andy could shoot it.
Andy Toulson.
Michael Smith is going to be. I'm going to hear about it from Michael Smith. I really am. Michael, I'm so sorry. You're my alternate.
He could be your alternate.
Yeah. My alternate is now Donkey Kong, since we're playing with whatever rules.
With the dunk contest, you kind of have to go with players that aren't in their prime.
They had to actually dunk in their time.
It's tough to find 3 that can do it now, like at a high level.
Oh, from the elder statesman?
Yes.
I don't know how to say the old guys without saying the old guys. Okay, here are my 3. Mike Hall, the 04 Air Force dunk is just all-timer.
All-timer, yeah.
Trent Playstead is in there. Like, he is the greatest big man dunker in BYU history.
Yep.
And I go Travis Hansen. Elder out, 8 Mile. He's got to have the bleached hair. I want the tattoo back on his leg that he had taken off for this dunk contest. Boom.
Only one difference in my trio of dunkers. I have Mike Hall and Trent Playstead as well. I went with Yoli Childs.
Yeah, Yoli's great.
Okay, Yoli, I feel like he's gotten better. Like, he's playing in Europe.
Oh, he's dunking on fools. Josh Sharp would be an intriguing one here. Josh Sharp didn't really show us everything he had in that regard, but he was an unbelievable leaper. Josh Sharp.
You know who weirdly had like crazy hops when he first got to BYU? Mike Rose.
Mike Rose, like, had Kalani Sitake like calves there.
Mike Rose was doing 360 dunks at the Midnight Madness in 2004, and I was like, who is this redheaded kid that's jumping out of the gym?
Then he has like 9 threes in the game in his like first home game, and then like in his last home game. It was like, that was, Mike Rose had a really punctuated bookend career there.
Fun contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun conversation.
Roland Minson in the 3-point contest. Let's go.
Now that's Roland Minson basketball.
Yeah. One of the greatest phrases uttered ever by Bill Walton.
This BYU offense reminds me of
I was sitting
Southern Utah, wave after wave of Red Rock beauty.
I was sitting right next to him when that happened. and I was like, this is amazing what he's saying. That's Lee Cummard basketball. That's Jimmer for that basketball.
Please. Legends.
So good.
Our question of the day, who would you put in your all-time BYU basketball all-star three-point and dunk competitions? At Kramer Hawley on Twitter says three-point competition, Jimmer Fredette, Alex Barcelo, Tyler Haws, and TJ Haws.
Love it.
Brother connection. Alternates.
we got like 4 alternates.
Jonathan Tavernari, Jake Toolson, Andy Toolson, and Devin Durant.
So Haws, Toolson's, Durant's. Mark
Legacies.
didn't get mentioned there. Yeah.
In the dunk competition, Kramer Hawley also says Mike Hall, Travis Hansen, Trent.
Those are my 3.
Healthy Gavin Baxter.
That one's interesting. He could certainly jump out of the gym.
Oh, when he was like in his prime, healthy,
Yeah.
and like.
Unfortunately, that was.
Oh my goodness.
Too young.
Not often enough, right?
Yeah.
Alternates: Eric Mika, Caleb Lohner, Yoli Childs, and Trey Stewart.
Trey Stewart had a nice game last night, by the way. 9 points.
All effort.
Career high.
At this point, why not, Jarom?
Oh yeah, that was a why not.
Why not?
Yeah.
And he performed. I think he's earned more minutes.
Absolute desperation when you say why not.
He's earned more minutes. Give them to him. See what happens. Our elite voice of the day presented by PAX Healthcare Elevated. All right, this comes from Jonathan Tavernari.
JT himself.
You usually get 8 players to compete in the three-point competition, so I'm going with, he says, TJ Haws, Jimmer Fredette, Alex Barcelo, Jake Toolson, Mike Smith, Danny Ainge, Andy Toolson, Chase Fisher. And then says, I'm not going to name myself because let's be honest. And then he's got Rihanna putting on a crown.
Yeah. Hey, that's the confidence you gotta have going into something like that. Okay, BYU baseball season opener is tonight on BYU Radio. You can listen at 7 Eastern as the Cougars take on Louisiana Tech. Let's go.
I'm proposing that we just call fantasy basketball already. Like, let's just end it. You win. It's over.
You win. It's done.
You won this week. You've won for the season. You know what? We can call for the season if you want, man. We can call for the season.
You're leading.
This is BYU Sports Nation. Stay with us. Can't wait to lose this lead again.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Introducing the truck for adventure. The all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier doesn't compromise on power or comfort. This midsize truck was redesigned to incorporate the latest technology and designs for safety, comfort, and convenience. Plus, with up to 6,700 pounds of towing capacity and best-in-class horsepower, it's rugged enough for adventure and still safe enough to transport all your favorite people. Where's your new Frontier? You'll find it at Tim Dowling Nissan Southtown and South Jordan.
As we've spent time working with so many groups around the world, we've learned a lot.
I have really learned the importance of gratitude.
African electrical systems.
Well, I've learned that Kieran actually loves concrete.
The power of cooperation.
But above all,
we've learned the world is a family.
And fixing someone else's problems
ends up fixing my own.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
You demand it, we allow it. BYU Sports Nation. You can get it on the free BYU TV and BYU Radio apps, and you can download and subscribe to the podcast as well, and rate it and review it.
After the first night of fantasy basketball this week, I have a lead.
High five.
By all of 1 point.
That's not enough.
And I had my opponent going last night, and you didn't. So let's just call it for the week, shall we? I'm being told I have to play on. Okay, fine. Whatever. 125, 124.
Hey, I endured this during football.
I know. Whoever has the first pick is going to win in fantasy.
We didn't think that in basketball because there's so many other players, right?
No, Lauren Gustin has been so
Lauren
dominant.
Gustin has had a spectacular season.
Yeah, she scored 49 points by her lonesome for your team last night.
Yeah, points, assists, rebounds, block steals. We call it parms.
So 3 of my players, it took 3 of my players to equal what Lauren did by herself.
Yes, it's like Dwight Schrute said. I have the strength of a man and a baby.
Yeah, she's incredible.
She has the strength of like 29 babies.
All I need is for Aiden Mahaney to score 1 point.
Oh, he'll do that. And he'll be
that's it, no more.
2 minutes.
1 point.
Yeah.
They hold him out because they want to keep him healthy for the Gonzaga game and for the West Coast Conference tournament. St. Mary's the sitting players because they're in a good position.
they're resting guys. They're like load management. Load management. We got to set this one out. I feel like we can beat BYU without these 3 guys.
I'll be happy if I'm within 30. Seriously, by the end of this weekend. Our Rise and Shout Out, presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics. We were just talking about her. Lauren Gustin.
Yeah.
1,000 Club.
Amazing. Second play in BYU history. 1 rebound shy of the WCC single season rebounding record. We got to look up the career record now.
She's an all-timer already, and she's not even a senior.
Yeah, just getting started.
All right, our thanks to today's guest, Matt Bushman. He's a Super Bowl champion.
Sorry to Dennis Pitta, Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
Ran out of time.
For Jarom, I'm Spencer. And a shout out to another 3-point shooter at BYU once upon a time, Mark Heslop. Remember that name?
Yeah.
He could ball from beyond the arc. See you back here in Studio B on Monday. Go Cougs. Beat the Gales!